Hello, livelings, and welcome to Sunday Snippets Edition 22. Sunday Snippets 22. And yes, it is late. I apologize for that. I got caught in traffic coming back from Denver this evening. For some reason, one of the worst times to come back from Denver is a Sunday night. And that's because they're out there doing road work. So I got stuck in road work twice, two places. So a 50 to 60 minute drive turned into an hour and 45 minutes. Woo! And sometimes at a standstill. But at least it wasn't an accident, so that's the good news. But it is when you want to get home and call it an end to your day and you're stuck in traffic on a Sunday night. Not my favorite. Tonight's topic is that topic that everybody loves so much to talk about, and that is death. Yeah, I haven't quite moved out of that quadrant just yet. I remembered as I was driving home that I talked about or told you that I was going to talk about my views on death in our culture. As I was going through the Chronicles, I mentioned that several times. So I wanted to do that before I get too far removed from that subject. After watching my husband die, and in particular watching him trying to wrap his head around his own impending death, it was a very interesting experience to watch his fear and hesitation to embrace his death. And that might sound weird to some of you. But the whole thing, the whole way that we handle death in our country and our culture is just unbelievable. It's so inadequate. It's amazing to me, especially now that I've been through the things that I've been through and watching as many people die as I have, 5, I think, at this point in my life. And I think about how we celebrate life. We have no hesitation whatsoever to embrace the coming of a new human being into the world. And when you think about it, birth is pretty gruesome as well. It is messy and gooey, and there's lots of bodily fluid and blood, and babies are covered in weird stuff, and there's umbilical cords and afterbirth, and there's poop and there's pee. A lot of you people might not know that, especially you men. As a woman is pushing out a baby, she's pushing out everything. And nobody told me that when I was in labor with Stephanie and starting to push Stephanie out. Nobody mentioned that to me. But the point is that it's gross. But yet we are like all about it, because at the end of that is this beautiful, precious little human being, new life into the world. And I bring that up because I think part of our hesitation about death is that we view it as really gross. and it is. There's body fluid, and depending on how you die, might be blood spewing everywhere, and there might be, who knows? But there's definitely bad smells, and it's just it's not pretty, but neither is birth. And I speak to all of this because we have absolutely ignored death as part of our existence. And I think that's part of the problem why we don't live full out. I know that after my near-death experience, I have such a different outlook. I have a different outlook on death. My fear of death is gone, completely gone. I don't think about death. I'm not consumed by it. It's not this big, ugly secret hiding in the closet anymore. It's out there. And I've walked on the edge, and I know what it's going to be like, and it's incredible. But because of our fear of dying, we've boxed death up and we've hidden it away as part of our experience. And I personally think that is such a mistake. Such a mistake. Back in the day, like long time ago, people are dying everywhere. Young children watch their parents, their grandparents, their siblings. They watched people die. It wasn't this huge mystery, this thing to be afraid of. It was part of our existence, and we've somehow sanitized it and just glorified it. Hollywood has glorified it. I mean, to watch a death, well, old movies anyway, newer movies now, it's kind of the pendulum has swung the other way, and you get shot 500 million times before you die. But in the old days, it was just this beautiful, and people could talk up to the very end and say their goodbyes and, oh, I love you, and it's over. No, people can't talk at the end. They just, that part shuts down. You can't do much right before you die. Apparently you can still hear, they say that, but everything else pretty much stops, which makes sense. Hello, you're shutting down, your body is shutting down. So that makes perfect sense that you can't talk and give all your last minute thoughts. As you're crossing over to the other side, there's a lot going on over there. So over here doesn't really matter anymore. Just saying. But it was interesting as I've reflected over the last 10 years about Terry and how he handled his own death. It was very usual, I guess, of his generation, and death being hidden away and something to fear. And he couldn't face it. He couldn't, he denied it, not only for the other reasons I've spoken about, just wanting to fix the situation that he was in or had left his family in, but I think personally as well, he had never thought about death to that degree, where I am now dying, kind of thinking about. I mean, we all ponder it. It kind of pops into our head, and we're very quick to, oh, no. I'm not going to think about dying right now. No. So here he was facing it, and he really had zero skills, because we live in a culture where unless you have witnessed somebody dying, or and even we have hospice to take care of that. We'll just give it to hospice. The nurses, the hospitals, they can deal with all that. We don't have to watch it. And I know he hadn't seen anyone die. Terry hadn't, so he was very oblivious. And most people haven't seen anybody die because we don't welcome that into our house. We don't want death knocking at the door. We don't even want to be reminded that that is our eventuality. We can't handle it. And why is that? Why is that? It's really not a good, healthy way to handle our lives, in my belief. And as an emotions advocate, which I have told you, I believe that we have to embrace all of it. So we have to embrace life and we have to embrace death so that we can live completely. And we're more than willing, like I started this whole thing out, we are more than willing to embrace birth and new life. And we totally ignore death, which makes us be completely out of balance. Completely out of balance. Those are my thoughts. There are some cultures that do a really good job with death. They celebrate it. They express their grief openly, willingly, and the people around them accept it openly and willingly. And we need to do that. We need to embrace that way of handling death. Because until we accept death as our eventuality, and that is what's going to happen to us, and that it's okay, and that we embrace it, we are existing with that part of ourselves shut off is such a disservice to our humanness and our total full experience. Now, should we dwell on it or be obsessed with it or those kinds of options? Probably not. It's all about balance. It's always about balance. And I think during the 77-day challenge, I told you about death cafes and deathlings, and that's where I came up with the word livelings. If there's deathlings out there, there's got to be livelings out there, and that's what you guys are, because this is live, and you are livelings. It's all about balance. Don't fear death. And if you do fear death, research it. Watch some of the TEDx talks about near-death experiences. I get to add mine here in just a few weeks, but there's some really great talks out there. Read books. Read about the process of dying, because it is a process and it starts a lot sooner than you realize. Just like pregnancy takes 9 months, people start dying a year or 9 months ahead of when everything stops. There are signs. It's fascinating, actually. And we should learn about it. We should know about it because it's part of our process. It's part of our existence. And it's the one thing we know for sure. Think about that. We think we know everything. We think we have control of everything. We want to know things. That's the one thing we absolutely know. We will die. So why aren't we learning about it? Why aren't we embracing it? Why aren't we talking about it? Humans. That's it for Sunday Snippets. Snippets. That's it for Sunday Snippets. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Have a wonderful rest of your night if you're still awake. And I will see you next week on the next edition. Bye.